Smart Impact Capital focuses on two groups, impact entrepreneurs and impact investors. But you, the entrepreneur, are also an investor. You're investing your valuable time, talent, and expertise, which are in limited supply. Yet entrepreneurs tell us they spend so much of their limited time on the fundraising process and chasing dead-end leads. So what can you do to invest your time more strategically to target the capital providers most likely to invest and add value? In this module, we walk through a 4-step triage process built from the experience of successful entrepreneurs. The process helps you filter from a generalized list of possible investors to a smaller list of top targets worth pursuing. Let's get started. First, identify the types of investors that interest you most, such as foundations, banks, angels, or funds. Each type has different motivations and constraints that impact potential fit with your venture, including the investment vehicles they generally offer. Use our capital provider profiles to understand how they differ and identify the most promising types of investors for your venture. At this point, most entrepreneurs start contacting investors within the types they've identified, but that can be a big waste of time and energy. Instead, the second step is to understand and document your filter criteria for a good fit between your venture and investors. Remember, every investor has her own filter, the criteria she uses to make investment decisions. As an entrepreneur, you should take similar steps to articulate your own criteria for partnering with an investor. Here's how Alden Zecca, former CFO at social venture Sproxel, describes their approach.
When Sproxel went to look for investment, we developed a bullet list of criteria that we felt were important for us to evaluate in the investor. They included geographies where the investor had previously invested. We looked at that. We looked at size of average investment, how much had they invested in the past. We also looked at size of total investment over the lifetime of the investment. So not just what are they going to invest now, but what could they invest over the lifetime of their relationship with us. We felt those were very, very important criteria.
Use tab 1 of our investor alignment tool to define 2 important filters you'll use to triage your top investor targets. The first filter is your knockout criteria, the areas where if you don't match with an investor, you can automatically filter her out. Take geography. If an investor doesn't invest in West Africa and you're based in West Africa, that's an automatic no-go. Don't waste your time. Or deal size. If an investor only makes investments of $2 million or more and you're looking for $200,000, that's a no-go for you and for her, for now. Knockout. The second filter is your fit criteria. Those elements where you're looking for compatibility but may be willing to compromise or negotiate. For example, what are your expectations related to governance? What level of impact evidence are you willing or able to provide? Take some time to know where you, your team, and your current stakeholders stand on your fit criteria and which are most important to you. These filters also provide key search terms for the third part of the process, doing targeted research to find potential investors that match your criteria. We've identified some of the most helpful databases and shortcuts for your research in our Targeted Investor Research Guide. Use tab 2 of the Investor Alignment tool to track investors you find through this research and your network. As you research, use tab 3 of the tool to apply your filter criteria to the potential investors you identify. See how investors match up and filter out the ones that truly aren't compatible. You'll ultimately emerge with a short list of top investor targets worth your time and effort to actively pursue. Last, assess your results. If you have some strong investor targets, you're in good shape. If you don't, consider what you've learned from this process. Are your knockout criteria reasonable? Is there simply a lack of investors in your particular intersection of industry, geography, stage, or vehicle? Did you spend enough time using all the tips in the Targeted Research Guide? See if you can enlarge the pool of potential investors by doing more research, reprioritizing your filter criteria, or going back to consider different investor types. There are 3 important benefits to going through this process to develop your top targets list. First, doing this more systematically will both enlarge your potential pool of investors and prevent you from spending valuable time going after investors who are never going to work for your venture. You'll be less likely to limit your search to who's in front of you rather than who's best for you. Second, you'll be able to clearly articulate to your team, advisors, and network why they should connect you with a particular investor. An explanation of why is much more compelling than a generic request for a connection. Help your network help you. Third, you'll be more prepared when you communicate with that investor. You won't have to start with basic questions because you'll already know the answers from your targeted research, and that will make an impression. Show them that you've been as tactical with your time as you know they will be with their money. In Module 7, we provide you with additional tips and tools to build relationships with these top target investors. But first, let's get to work identifying them.